One of the most mysterious characters in Star Wars is no other than Grand Admiral Thrawn. With him now making his first live-action appearance in Ahsoka, it's only right to learn more about him. He wasn't so much like your average Imperial officer, but instead an intellectual, a strategist, and somebody who is always one step ahead of his enemies. So, let's dive right into it. Thrawn was born on the planet Rentor, which was actually in the unknown regions. His species was Chiss, which is kind of like a humanoid species, very similar to how Dredden Voss was in Solo. Well, this species had blue skin, red eyes, and they were known for having a lot more sharper hearing and faster reflexes than humans. This species weren't seen as villains though. The Chiss were known for putting family first and making allies. Enemies came second to them. Not only this, but to tell you a little bit more about Thrawn's backstory, his name actually wasn't Thrawn. This was just a nickname because it was short for his real name. His name was actually Mithran Nuruodo. It's okay, I have a hard time pronouncing it as well. Not only this, but if you were ever wondering what age Thrawn is, Thrawn was born in the year 59 BBY, or in simpler terms, 59 years before the events of A New Hope. That would mean Thrawn is 68 during the time of the Ahsoka series. Have you ever heard the saying, fake it until you make it? Well, Thrawn did that. He tricked his way in to join the Empire. Thrawn worked with what was called the Chiss Ascendancy, which was a body of government of the Chiss territories in the unknown regions. The Chiss started to worry about the rise of the Empire. They saw Palpatine rise to power, and this worried them of how much power he actually had. So to find the truth, Thrawn was sent to investigate. To do so, he decided to fake himself being in exile, and this would get him through the door to see if they would be a threat or not. Thrawn faked his exile by making it look like he lived on a planet for many years. Eventually, the Empire landed on this unknown planet to look for smugglers. And after a while, well, he allowed himself to get captured by them. But little did they know, this was all part of Thrawn's plan. Thrawn had a goal, to be presented in front of Emperor Palpatine, and he wasn't going to let anything stand in his way. Thrawn eventually met Palpatine shortly after his capture and informed Palpatine that he would be a great value to the Empire. He told Palpatine that there were a lot of threats in the unknown regions and that he could help prevent these threats and become an asset to the Empire. Palpatine looked at Thrawn and was very unconvinced and really didn't see much use for him. That was until he mentioned Anakin Skywalker. Thrawn had mentioned that he worked with Anakin in the past during the days of the Republic. Palpatine was curious by this and even mentioned what a great Jedi Anakin was and that it was a shame he, quote-unquote, died. Palpatine proceeded to tell Thrawn that he remembered that Anakin spoke very highly of the Chiss race, and from there on out, he decided to accept Thrawn into the Royal Imperial Academy on Coruscant. So you're probably wondering, how did Thrawn go from being in the Imperial Academy to becoming a Grand Admiral? Well, this is where Thrawn would experience what would be a very crucial part of his life. When he became a student on Coruscant, he was assigned a translator named Eli Vanto. Vanto was assigned to Thrawn because Thrawn's main language was not English. His main language was called Sybisti, and this was a very common language in the unknown regions. Vanto would help Thrawn in showing him the lifestyle as an Imperial as well as help translating certain things. Vanto was kind of seen as somebody on the side and not very important to the Empire, but Thrawn made him feel valued. Thrawn convinced his superiors to give Eli the recognition he deserved, and they formed a bond that was almost like a friendship in a way. Now, Thrawn didn't really spend much time in the Imperial Academy. In fact, he was one of the fastest to achieve such a high rank in the Empire. The Empire liked Thrawn, not because of his political side, which was kind of horrible by the way, but because of how intellectual he was. His tactics, his insight, and his creative problem solving, which were qualities that the other military leaders really didn't have, so it really set him apart. Because of these traits, Thrawn was able to achieve the title of Grand Admiral very quickly. Even with this high status though, he was never truly loyal to the Empire. His true loyalty always remained with the Chiss Ascendancy. Did you know that Thrawn was one of the only few people who knew Anakin was actually Darth Vader? It all started in the early years of the Clone Wars when they met in space near the planet of Batuu, which, if you didn't know, is the same planet that is home to the famous Galaxy's Edge at Disney. But anyways, when they met near this planet, Anakin was actually searching for his wife Padme, but he had lost contact with the Republic. She had gone missing and Thrawn decided to aid Anakin and they succeeded. Shortly after, they went their separate ways. That is, until years later, Palpatine sent Thrawn and Vader to investigate a disturbance in the Force. This mission was coincidentally in the same place where they met, Batuu. Throughout their mission, Thrawn would mention multiple times to Vader that he was actually here before with Anakin back in the Clone Wars. Vader would try to ignore this and kept telling Thrawn that Anakin Skywalker was dead. But after more time together, Thrawn caught on to Vader's battle tactics and his behavior. This led him to the conclusion that Anakin was indeed Darth Vader. Thrawn taunted Vader multiple times, saying that he knew who was under the mask and that he knew his true identity. But if anything, this just showed that he didn't even fear Darth Vader. Remember how I mentioned earlier that Thrawn was from the unknown regions? Well, he had a knowledge that not many did in this unexplored location, and he shared a lot of information with Palpatine. After the Battle of Jakku, the Empire slowly collapsed and many went into hiding in these unknown locations. This led them to spending years creating the First Order. I hope this video helped you learn a little bit more about Thrawn today, and personally, I'm excited to see more about this character in the hopeful future. What do you think about Thrawn? And what character would you like me to cover next with some interesting facts? Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you, always.